this drawing, we are going to get a gull. Now, with this, we want to try to get the gull flying so that it has a very large wingspan and we can get the entirety of the bird itself. You want to give yourself a good deal of surface on the page to give yourself some space. So I'm going to make the head relatively small to start off with, just working with a circle. Now, in this circle, I am terrible at drawing circles right the first time. I need to make sure that I do a whole bunch of lines to get the shape of my circle. Now that circle is going to represent the head, and the body of the gull, the neck, is super strong because it needs to connect up to the chest muscles, which are the strongest part of the gull. I'm going to move over and make that chest into an oval shape, making it bigger than the head because the chest needs to be super strong. And I'm going to have these lines taper or come together to match up, making the one on the bottom a little bit bigger because our gull is going to be flying in this direction. Then afterwards, the body of the gull tapers down. It comes down and forms a point almost towards the bottom. I'm going to round that out and bring it back up to this portion where we've got these three different shapes. We've got this circle, this oval, and this tapered shape. The next part that I'm going to get, I'm not going to worry about the details just yet. I want to get the wings, and the wings of the gull specifically are going to come up and angle outward. So we want to get those muscles. Those are the muscles kind of like your upper arm, where your bicep and tricep are. We're going to bring the wing in and curve it up and around on this side, and then it's going to angle back to form the tip of the wing. Now, the wings of gulls are designed for them to glide for very long distances. So their wings are really wide. You'll notice that the wings are wider than the length of their body. They're much larger by comparison. So we want to get those changes. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom here with an angle, which is going to be a little bit different because the gull is kind of turned in on its side. And this is going to angle out about where the beak is going to be. And then once again, angle downward to get the positioning of the wings. So we've got those two wings, one on the top, one on the bottom. I'm going to get the rest of the shapes to kind of help this out. The wings of a gull will taper to a point up on the top, and then have a long, thick part in through here that connects up to the body. And these feathers here give it that lift, allowing it to stay aloft. This line here can cut right through the middle of the body and go to this lower portion here, where it's going to curve along with this curve right here and bring it up to the point that we've got where it angles, and then taper down to the other side, coming to a point. So we've got the two wings of the gull. This one looks a little bit bigger than that one, so I'm going to change this up and extend it out. You can always make changes to your drawings as you sketch them out. I'm going to make a little eraser, make some changes here to clean that up. We all make mistakes, and that's why we sketch in pencil first, to get those changes. The head of the gull is going to taper to a point on the beak, and it's going to come forward, curving down from the top of the head and forming a little hook on the edge. This is going to turn back up and around to the flat part of the face, right there. And the gull will have a lower jaw as well, which comes up and tapers right into. So we've got a little bit of a change with those shapes that are happening with the beak. Next, we're going to get the eye. Now we only see one eye because the gull's body is turned, So I'm going to start that off with a circle, but this type of gull has a angled colorant around their eye, a little bit of darkness, a little bit of black. So I'm going to use my pencil, press down a little bit harder, and get it through there. At this point, we've got all of the big parts of the gull that we need, but we need to start worrying about smaller changes like the differences in the feathers, as well as the feet and how they're tucked away. A gull's feet in the back are tucked in a fashion that allows it to fly easily. So I'm going to make two little curves on the back here that can represent its feet, and I'm going to get some simple lines to represent the toes that are there. And finally, an angled portion to get the tail. Now we can start worrying about the differences in the feathers and the body. But one of the first things that I'm going to do is kind of decide where the light and dark of this is going to go. Most of the gull is going to be white, but there are some parts where even on a white piece of paper like this, if I curl this up, there are going to be some light and dark areas on this as well. So we need to pay attention to where those light and dark parts of the gull are going to be. I'm going to erase this circle. Just the parts that I don't need, and then start coming in and using my pencil lightly, not heavily, make some marks. And these are like little U's or curves that are present here, nothing too big, and I'm going to be repeating these to represent the curving parts of the feathers of the gull. And I'm going to do that throughout the body, all the way through, and I'm making the same type of mark to grab that similar texture all the way through, layering them up on top of one another to make it look like that part of the gull is a little bit lighter. And if you make them a little bit too dark, you can easily go in and use your eraser to lighten them up. But they're going to be a little bit lighter as they move up, and you might even make your marks a little bit smaller. I'm going to go in on the beak as well and give it a little bit of value, a little bit of change in dark and light, just so it looks different than the rest of the head. And now I can start getting the wings as well as the tail. The tail is going to be fairly dark, so I'm going to press down fairly hard on that. But the wings are going to have a very strong sense of dark near the tips. And I'm going to go all the way through and kind of give it a thickness, but follow it along the edge, making some minor changes and making those little curves for feathers here as well. There's going to be some changes in the darkness, but I'm just getting some bumps to kind of show that the gull has feathers in this area. In this other section here, there's going to be a few feathers as well to show those lighter and darker areas. And then this is going to taper up. I'm going to use a straight line for this part. And then end up near the top here. Now, the darker areas of the gull's wing are going to be pretty dark. So I'm going to press down fairly hard. And the other thing that I'm going to do is go over that area a few times to try to get the same darkness throughout. And I'm going to try to make my pencil go all the same way in an area. To do that, what I'm going to do is go over that area a few times so that the pencil lines don't show up as much, and I can get a nice smooth surface in the area that we've got. All the way through, trying to get through all of the lines that are present. You don't need to press really, really dark. It's not necessarily black here, so you can press a little bit harder to get those values the lights and darks that are present. And I'm using a kind of curvy motion with my pencil on this side, rounding it out so that it looks like feathers rather than just one solid bit of color or value. All the way through, I'm going to curve these with the values, making little circles over and over again, going over that area to make it look darker. I'm going all in the same direction so that I can get the same value going throughout. There we go. I'm going to get the other wing now, and basically going to go through the same process. I'm going to press down a little bit harder, get the angle of the wing, and then bringing it down towards the bottom. Get that value. This area isn't as dark. It doesn't have that really strong part, so I'm going to keep that a little bit thinner, just like that one up there. And I'll do the same kind of value all the way through, little circles going throughout, so that I can get the look of feathers, making them smaller as they make their way over here, so that you don't have to draw every single individual feather. We can get the idea of feathers, and sometimes that's all you need. Trying to get the same value all the way through. So we don't show any lines. Now coming down to the bottom here. Blend that out. Same value all the way through, so we're not getting a lot of difference. And now all we need to do are some lines of texture to get the feathers on the wings. Just a few lines to kind of help define where the lighter and darker parts are. Darker towards the body, going to get lighter as it starts moving up. The same thing down here. It's going to be darker down here. And then as we start getting to other parts of the body, those lines are going to get further out from one another as we finish off. And there's our goal.